The State Department sent my case back for possible revocation. Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration lawyer practicing law throughout the United States at our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. So let's say you're in a relationship. Maybe you go the fiancé route. Maybe you go the marriage route. Either way, the first part of bringing someone to the United States involves filing an I-129F if it's a fiancé, an I-130 if it's a spouse, with USCIS. USCIS could take up to a year, 14 months these days, to approve the I-130 or the I-129F. Then you get transferred from the Department of Homeland Security, USCIS, to the State Department. The State Department is going to handle the actual processing of the fiancé case or the spouse case. You sort of start over when you get to the National Visa Center or to the embassies dealing with the State Department. You're going to be filing a new set of forms, a DS-160 for a fiancé case, a DS-260 for a marriage-based case. You're going to get all those documents together that you need, the police clearance certificate, the financial documents to show that you can support your fiancé or spouse, and then eventually the case is going to get set for an interview at the embassy. If the consular official is not convinced that the relationship is valid, that the marriage is legit, that both parties have the legal authority to get into a marriage, in other words, they're not still legally married to somebody else, these are the kinds of things that come up at the embassy. And if the consular official doesn't believe that you have satisfied your burden, they can call for a complete reexamination of the entire case. The way that they do that, they send your case back to USCIS, back to the Department of Homeland Security for possible revocation. What does that mean? Well, you have to actually wait for the file to make its way from the embassy to the National Visa Center back to USCIS. That wait in and of itself can take anywhere from 6 to 12 to 18 months. So in a lot of ways, this is a delay tactic. This is a situation where the officer says, I don't really like this case. I don't think I want to give a visa. I don't want to necessarily be the bad guy and deny it outright. I'm going to send it back to USCIS to see if they see things the same way we do. So, we went down to the local courthouse and figured out this person's still married to somebody else, so therefore they're not eligible for a fiancé or a spouse case, or for whatever reason, they think this case is not approvable, that this visa should not be issued. So they send it back to USCIS. So like I said, the first big news when you get sent back for possible revocation is that you're going to be waiting a whole long while, probably just as long or almost as long as you waited from the beginning of the case. The case makes its way back to USCIS. Now, the vast majority of times, USCIS reaffirms the I-130. They say, yeah, this is a valid marriage. We don't know what you're talking about. They've given us some updated marriage evidence. They might have sent a notice of intent to revoke to the applicants, and you're given the opportunity to supply more information, more evidence in support of your case. So if you can address the issue that the State Department has raised, if you can figure out what the issue that the State Department is concerned with, then you can overcome the possible revocation, and then USCIS sends it back to the State Department and eventually back to the embassy. So eventually you're going to be sitting in front of that same officer if the petition is not revoked. If it's revoked, you're starting all over. If it's revoked, it's as if you never filed it. But now you have this black mark on your history. So sending it back for possible revocation, definitely not good. You're talking major delay. You're going to need updated evidence. You're going to have to show that everybody's eligible to marry, that it's a real relationship. You're going to have to overcome whatever new concerns USCIS has or old concerns the embassy official had. And then the State Department, again, gets the chance to figure out if they want to give you the visa or not. Maybe they're satisfied with what you sent to USCIS. Maybe they're not. And that's the thing. According to the U.S. Supreme Court, a spouse doesn't have the liberty interest of having their spouse come to the United States. So there's no guarantee that your case is going to be approved. And if it's been sent back for possible revocation, I would say your case is on life support. And at that point, you really need to start thinking about, if you haven't already, working with lawyers to overcome this difficulty. Otherwise, your fiance or spouse is not coming. We really like working on spouse cases and fiance cases. It's our bread and butter. It's what we do the most here. So if you would like our help, either responding to possible revocation or a notice of intent to revoke, or starting a case from scratch and you want to hire one of the best law firms in the country, 314-961-8200 is our phone number. Our email, info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com. We'd love to have you reach out to us if you're wanting representation. If you're just looking for free information, please don't call or email. If you're looking for free information, we have our Immigrant Home Facebook group. We have 12,000 people in there talking about the immigration process. We have our YouTube channel where we upload 3 or 4 new videos a week. I also do a live show where you can call and ask me a question about the immigration process 3 or 4 times a week for free. And then we have our TikTok channel @ImmigrationHacking. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.